Hi lovelies, you're welcome to Perfect Glamour Fashion Academy. In today's tutorial, we're going to be learning how to make this winged collar peplum top. Stay tuned. So first, we're going to be starting from the basic bodice block. But before we do that, note that I folded my paper into two. Okay, so this is a folded paper, and then I came down by 5 inches, or you can come down by 6 inches if you like, and mark your start line. So that's where all your measurements will start. So I am going to be drawing my neckline. I'm using 4 inches for the width. Okay, I'm also drawing my shoulder divided by two, which is 7.5 for me, and then I came down by 1 inch to form my shoulder slope. So I'm going to go ahead and go down by my armhole length, which is my bust divided by 6 plus 1.5. Okay, so when I've done that, I'm going to rule a straight line down to the point that I marked, and then I'm going to divide my bust into four and mark also to form an angle. Next, when we're done with that, the next thing is to divide that line into two to form your armhole curve, and then you come in by 1/2 inch and you rule a connecting line with your curved ruler. And when you're done, you're going to come down by all our horizontal measurements. If you notice, I didn't rule any neck depth. Okay, it will not be needed for this tutorial. So I'm ruling my horizontal measurement, my bust point, my under bust, and my half length. Okay, and then I'm going to rule a connecting line to mark my bust point, my under bust line, and then my half length. Now, when you've done that, the next thing you're going to do is to mark your darts, and my dart is marked by your nipple to nipple divided by 2. Mine is 7, mine is 8, so divided by 2 is going to give me 4. And then from that, from my bust point, I'm going to come down by 1 inch, and then I'm going to mark 1/2 inch on both sides of my line, on both sides of the dart line. Okay, to form your dart. Next, we're going to be dividing our horizontal measurements into 4, my under bust into 4, and my waist into 4. I've already marked bust divided by 4, and then do well to add back what you removed for your dart. Okay, so this is me adding back 1 inch from to my waist and to my under bust. So I'm going to connect the lines. Next is to mark our side dart. Come down by 1 inch or 1.5 depending on your bust size. And then from the nipple point, come out by 1 inch also, and then connect the lines. This is simple basic bodice block. So in case you don't know how to do this, I'm going to be linking my basic bodice block video below this in the description box. Now at the tip, we're going to mark 4 inches, just the way what you used for your neck width. Okay, and then that will form a square, and we're really done with this pattern. Next, I'm going to be transferring my darts to the other part of the pattern paper. You know, this is folded into two, so I'm transferring my dart now. Now at that tip, you're going to roll a diagonal line, a slanted line, depending on where you want the collar to fall. Okay, if you want it to fall by the right, you rule from left to right. If you want it to fall by the left, you rule from right to left. I hope that's clear. And then I'm going to cut off what I did. Next, I'm going to notch. Okay, don't forget to notch this place because it can become a little confusing when you are joining it. All right, now I want to come down by 6. I don't want it to show a lot of my cleavage, so I came down by 5.5, actually not even 6, because I don't want it to show my cleavage. Okay, as you saw my dress on the thumbnail, It's just kind of covered a bit. But if you want it to go ahead and if you want to come all the way down, you can use 7, you can use 8, you can use 9. Then I connected that point to the shoulder. Okay. Now this is where will form your neck line. Now for the back, I started with sewing zip allowance. Yeah, so I'm using 1.5 inch for zipper allowance, and then I'm rolling my start line. So we're going to go in by 4 inches. Remember, we use 4 inches as the neck width for the front, so we're using the same thing, and then we're coming down by 1 inch to form the neck for the back. And then we're going to divide the shoulder by 2 and come down by 1 inch to form the shoulder slope. Next is to also rule the armhole like we did for the front. Come down by your armhole depth, which is your bust divided by 6 plus 1.5. Okay, this is basic bodice block. In case you don't know how to do this, like I said, I have a detailed tutorial that I'm going to be linking on the description box. Do well to watch that video. It's going to help you a lot, because basic bodice is the basics for every other garment construction. You come in by 1/2 inch and you connect your darts. Yeah, we're done rolling the armhole. Next is to rule the horizontal measurements, which is my half length, my nipple point divided by my nipple point, and then my underbust and my half length. At the end of them, I'm just going to rule my half length because I don't need my underbust for the back measurement. Okay, so I've ruled my back. Remember, my back half length is 1 inch shorter than my front half length. So I'm going to put that into consideration as I'm ruling. From the dart legs, I also rule my nipple to nipple divided by 2, which is 4. And then I came up by 1 inch after my nipple point. And then I'm going to rule 1/2 inch on both sides of the dart line to form my simple darts. Okay. Now I'm done with this. Remember, there is no side dart at the back. Okay. All right, so I'm going to be adding my 1 inch dart plus my waist divided by 4. Okay, that's what I'm rolling right here. Now to eliminate bulk at the back, I've done this several times here, so I'm going to be removing 1/2 inch from my back. Just remove it. I don't replace it, and it works very well for me and my clients. Okay, but if your client is plus size, do well to replace it by the side of your measurement. Now the next thing I'm going to do is to cut this fabric. We're almost done. Okay, I'm using 1 inch by the side and 1/2 inch round, 1/2 inch round, but 1 inch by the side. Next thing, I'm going to be cutting facing for the front. Okay, I'm going to be folding. Just look very carefully to see what I'm doing. Just look very carefully to see what I'm doing. See, my facing is going to stop at the nipple point. Okay, that's where my facing is going to stop. And I also use 1/2 inch sewing allowance, just the way I cut the upper part. So watch very carefully. Just the way I cut the front part, I'm cutting the facing exactly the same way. Just that this facing is going to stop at the nipple point line. Okay, so watch very carefully. It's going to stop at the nipple point line, but it's going to be almost as though it's also I'm cutting as if I'm cutting 2 fabric for the front. Okay, but one is facing and the other is the main fabric. So I'll just place this on the front to make sure that it matches up. Then for the flay, I want it to look very, very closely. First off, I started the flay by folding the material. Okay, the first fold, I folded it into 2. Okay, and then I flipped it. I just pinched the edge and flipped it again to form a triangle. Okay, in forming the triangle, I made sure I have 1 inch space for zip allowance. And then for the waist, What I did was I added 3 inches to my waistline. If you notice, there is a pleat by the waist, by one side of the waistline. Okay, I added 3 inches. My waist is 27, and I added three. You can add 3 to 4 inches depending on what works for you. Okay, so I added 3 inches to it. Then I'll place it on my fabric. The point that accommodates the entire measurement I want to place is now my start point for the flay. And then I'll place the tape at the tip of the flay and rule a kind of a curved line. I hope you really observed. You can take this video back and watch closely how I did to form this flay. It's very simple to do. Okay, now the next thing we're going to do is to find notch the center, notch the side. Now I folded back my 1 inch sewing allowance. Remember, we did 1 inch sewing allowance. Okay, and now I'm going to find the center of this flay and I will notch. This is very important. Okay, and then I also notch the sides. I'll notch the sides, but I just measure to make sure that I have the number of the space that I need to do my folding. Okay, now that we are done, the next thing is to form the high-low effect. Okay, now to do that, I'm starting on one side. On one side is going to be high, the other side is going to be low. Okay, it's kind of asymmetric. Now for the side that is going to be high, I used 6 inches. 6 inches for the side that is going to be low, sorry. Okay, now I'm going to keep increasing the measurements until I get to the midpoint. The midpoint should be 1 inch above, just one. It's going to take out just 1 inch from the midpoint and then connect the rest. So just watch closely how I'm doing this. If you notice, it's just 1 inch that went up in the middle, and then I connected it to the bigger size, but the smaller side has is 6 inches. The bigger side is our full length. I used 11 inches for the full length of this peplum. I used soft wadding, but I patted it twice just to give it that firmness. I used soft wadding. You can use cloth gum, okay? Use a soft interfacing to also give it a natural look. And then you're also going to use interfacing on your flay, both the lining and the main flay. I've already cut my skirt pattern. In case you don't know how to cut skirt pattern, I have a detailed tutorial that I'll be linking down below. So now I'm placing the facing on the fabric. Now look very closely. I'm going to be transferring this depth, this cut that I did by the shoulder. Okay, I'm ruling it. I just transferred it from the pattern to the fabric, and I rule a straight line. I rule a straight line to stop at that 6 inches I stopped when we cut our fabric. Now you're going to be joining the front and the facing from the shoulder, from that shoulder notch. Okay, and then you're going to go round this line. You're going to just go round this line. I've already sewn this. If you notice how I went round the line, and I'm going to notch it. When you're notching, be very careful so that you don't end up tearing your fabric. Okay, and then you might also have to go back and reinforce this line. I hope this is clear enough actually. So now I've ironed, and then I'm going to be adding my darts. For the back, I'm going to just do a simple facing for the back. Just fold a fabric into two and then place and cut exactly what you have on the neckline of your back. And then I'm going to shape this out and I'm done with the back. That is just the facing for the back. Okay, I'm going to sew and then I will stop stitch. Remember to top stitch to give it that neat finishing, and notch before you top stitch, okay, to give it that neatness. When you iron it, it will eliminate any kind of bulkiness. Now I'm going to be joining. I've already added that. Are you seeing the fullness that the bust side is already having? That's the magic of side that. So I'm going to be joining the front to the back, and I'm going to sew. I'm going to sew the shoulder, and then I'll sew the sides. So for the peplum, I'm joining the lining. You will join the lining right side facing each other. Now I'm done joining the lining to the fabric, and I've ironed it. Ironed this very well, okay, to give it that natural look and flow. Next thing, I'm going to re-notch the center. Okay, now pay attention to how I will join this peplum to the back. I'm also going to notch the center of the upper part, and then I will start by joining the end of the fabric to the back. Okay, so I'll join the end of the fabric to the back to the zipper allowance. Okay, so the zipper part of the flay goes to the zipper part of the top, and then on both sides. And then I would remember there is a pleat by the side. Okay, so that's pleat is going to be around this side for me, so I'll rule the lines that I want the pleat to have. I don't know if you get that. Okay, so I'll keep joining and joining until I get to that line that I've ruled. That's where I'll now pleat. Okay, I had to pleat a little more, you know, just one. I just had to hold half inch just to make sure that the top accommodates the flay entirely. So I'm going to add my zip, and then I'm going to add my sleeve, and we are done with this tutorial. It's also not easy. So see you in the next tutorial. Bye.